Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we have continue episode. During World War II, while Europe burned under Nazi occupation, one tiny state stood at the heart of the chaos, the Vatican City. Just 108 acres in size without an army, surrounded by fascist Italy, and only a few streets away from German soldiers, it somehow survived the war untouched. But survival was not luck, it was strategy. This is how the Vatican outsmarted the Nazis. When Adolf Hitler rose to power in the 1930s, his ambitions were not limited to politics. He wanted control of ideology. Every church, every pulpit, every conscience. At first, the Vatican tried diplomacy. The 1933 Concordat with Germany was meant to protect the rights of the Church, but soon priests were being arrested, Catholic youth groups were banned, and church property was seized. By the time war broke out, Pope Pius XII, formerly the Vatican's top diplomat, understood the regime's true nature: ruthless, deceitful, and obsessed with control. From the moment he became Pope in 1939, Pius XII walked a dangerous line. Public condemnation could have triggered Nazi retaliation and endangered millions of Catholics across Europe. Silence, on the other hand, could be mistaken for complicity. So the Vatican chose a third path: quiet resistance through intelligence, networks, and negotiation. Inside the Vatican's walls, a secret effort began. Priests, monks, and nuns across Italy and beyond were quietly ordered to help Jews, prisoners, and political refugees. Thousands of baptism certificates were forged to give Jewish families new identities. Monasteries and convents turned into safe houses. Some Vatican buildings themselves hid entire families. Within Rome alone, it's estimated that more than 4,000 Jews survived the Holocaust thanks to this network. In 1943, after Italy surrendered to the Allies, German troops marched into Rome. The city was under Nazi occupation, but the Vatican remained technically a neutral state. Its border was just a white line of stones on the pavement, a line the Nazis dared not cross. Hitler himself ordered plans to kidnap Pope Pius XII and occupy the Vatican, believing the Pope was secretly helping the Allies. But his generals hesitated. Any attack on the Holy See could spark a global backlash among Catholics, including those in Germany's own ranks. So the Vatican survived, protected not by weapons, but by the political cost of violating it. While the world saw a neutral Vatican, behind closed doors it became an intelligence hub. Vatican diplomats gathered information from bishops across Europe, coded reports on Nazi atrocities, troop movements, and persecution. Vatican radio broadcast messages that were both humanitarian and strategic. To ordinary listeners, they sounded like prayers and updates, but to resistance groups, they contained subtle signals and warnings. The Nazis tried to jam the signal, yet the broadcasts continued, often from hidden transmitters under Vatican control. When the German occupation of Rome reached its peak, Vatican officials risked everything to protect lives. In October 1943, the Nazis began rounding up Rome's Jewish population. More than 1,000 people were arrested and sent to Auschwitz, yet hundreds more were smuggled into church buildings, hidden in crypts, libraries, and even inside the catacombs beneath the city. The Pope himself ordered Vatican institutions to open their doors, including the papal summer residence at Castel Gandolfo, where hundreds of refugees found shelter. Among them were pregnant women who gave birth in the Pope's own rooms. Meanwhile, the Vatican's diplomatic corps became experts at delay. Whenever German commanders demanded lists of people or access to archives, the Vatican responded with paperwork, appeals to international law, and endless discussion. Every delay bought more time for the resistance and for those in hiding. In the world of espionage and power, stalling was a form of victory. Hitler's anger grew. He accused the Pope of undermining the Reich and spreading anti-German propaganda. But the Vatican's mastery of ambiguity kept it safe. Publicly, the Pope spoke of the suffering of all peoples, never naming Germany. Yet everyone knew whom he meant. Privately, his envoys negotiated with the Allies, coordinated relief for prisoners, and funneled intelligence from occupied territories. The Nazis could never pin him down. That was the Vatican's genius. It turned diplomacy into a weapon. By 1944, the Allies were advancing up the Italian peninsula. As German forces retreated from Rome, the Vatican's secret efforts began to surface. Documents revealed coded correspondence, escape routes, and lists of names of those saved by religious institutions. When Rome was finally liberated, the Vatican stood untouched, its archives intact, its leaders alive, and its reputation paradoxically both questioned and admired. After the war, debate raged. Some accused Pius XII of not speaking out loudly enough against Hitler. Others pointed to the thousands of lives saved by the Church's covert actions. The truth lies somewhere in between. In a world where a single public word could have destroyed an entire underground network, silence became strategy. The Vatican had played a game of shadows against one of history's most brutal regimes, and won, not through violence, but through patience, secrecy, and moral calculation. It proved that even without armies, power can come from intellect and influence. By mastering the art of appearing neutral while quietly shaping events, the Vatican ensured its survival and the survival of many others. Today, historians still debate whether the Vatican did enough or too little, or exactly what was possible under the circumstances. But one fact remains undeniable. When the Nazis sought total control, the Vatican outmaneuvered them. It shielded the persecuted, misled its enemies, and preserved a fragile beacon of hope in a world of terror. The smallest nation on earth had stood against one of the most powerful empires in history, and endured. It did not win with armies or weapons, but with diplomacy, deception, and faith. That is how the Vatican outsmarted the Nazis. Not by fighting back, but by thinking ahead.